Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we're diving into scaling Gen AI powered creatives, discussing how to overcome the creative crunch. I'm your host, Noelle Runo, Head of International Marketing Communications at Making Science, and I'm thrilled to be joined by two experts, Matz Lukmani, Product Lead at Google, and Julia Beaser, Director of Client Partnership at Making Science. Welcome both.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So let's dive straight in. We've seen that brands today need about 10 more assets than just 2 years ago. Matt, maybe you could start by explaining how Google's generative models like Nano Banana or even VO are solving this, what we call the creative crunch.
Exactly. Well, maybe just doing a bit of a basics here. Nano Banana is a fun name for an improvement we made to our Imagen 2 models used for building high fidelity static assets, while VO, equally cool name for our vision-enabled AI models. For example, they can build a 1080 pixel video straight from text prompting in seconds. Both of these fairly impressive industry-leading models have been offered in Gemini app, Google Vertex solutions, but this year we're taking it a step further. We are making sure they roll out for free in our Google Ads solution than the Asset Studio space. And for brands, what this means is they can unlock scale without sacrificing quality, because that's the guarantee we have, that the output of these models will give you top quality assets you can use in your marketing campaigns.
That's really interesting, Matt, because I mean, Julia, when scaling often means that you lose quality in the past. And based on what Matt just said, how is then Making Science ensuring that AI generated volume actually performs?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say the shift to this high fidelity generation changes everything. It kind of completely eliminates that old cost of complexity. And instead of getting bogged down in asset production, we are able to focus entirely on sort of the strategic application of the ads. We'd like to say that the winning formula is pairing those like hyper scaled AI tools with performance media objectives to ensure that volume is driving tangible gains. I think in the 2026 media landscape, you really can't have great performance without great creative. And frankly, we all know you need AI to win.
Yeah, AI and thrive, as we say in Making Science. So, Matt, you've mentioned the ABCD framework in one of our other podcasts. So how does then that act as a quality guardrail for all this new volume on YouTube specifically?
Yeah, and the ABCD framework is a fairly foundational piece of research we've done many years ago at Google when we looked at YouTube videos, and we were challenging ourselves to say, what does a good ad look like and how do I keep improving on it? And we've constantly invested in research, sharpening the variables that go into this model and framework to give advertisers an idea on what are the actions they can do to drive better results from a quality perspective. In a nutshell, it talks about attention, branding, connection, and direction that your ads should be building towards. And some of the latest studies we've done with Econometrics, for example, was to understand if these effectiveness levers, do they actually drive better ROI? And we showed that it does. It drives a positive impact. For example, looking at the cohort of advertisers that went from their ads scores from being poor to optimal from a creative standpoint by adhering to these standards, saw up to 1.7x or up to 2x in some cases increase in ROI just by improving the quality of these assets. Going deeper, what we researched and realized is there are just 20 creative attributes. We call it the golden rules. We've talked about it externally. Mm-hmm. So if you're in Europe, think of, does your ad have an element of humor? Do you clearly call out the path to purchase? Are you tapping into cultural closeness of your audiences? Do you have a nuanced tone when you're talking with your prospects, et cetera, et cetera? If you're having these basic 20 creative attributes optimized for, you can see up to 70% of the campaign's ROI coming back from these just 20 attributes. So if you want to go small, you can also just focus on the few big things. If you want to go even tighter, in Europe, what we realized is most of the advertisers have a huge potential by improving their call to action, which is essentially the direction score. Not so much we see in some of the other markets, but in Europe especially, our big action item for our advertisers is to make sure you double up on your call to actions and make sure your prospects know what to do after they see your ad.
Yeah, for sure. And, with these optimized creatives, Julia, maybe you can go in a bit more of what is the YouTube formula for distributing them, especially now on CTV?
So we found that I would say success on YouTube totally requires a full funnel approach. You can't just treat awareness and conversion as separate silos anymore. So the winning formula is combining YouTube video reach campaigns to get that mass awareness at scale, sort of at the top of your funnel, with demand gen to capture that intent and drive action down at the bottom. I think this is especially critical now that we know live sports have almost completely shifted the streaming landscape. CTV is no longer a test and learn line item. It's really the cornerstone of most advertisers' media plans. And so by running this video reach and demand gen together, we ensure that whether a customer is, let's say, watching a live sports game on their big screen or maybe browsing some highlights on their phone, the creative is able to meet them seamlessly with the right message at the right moment.
Amazing. So silos are a major challenge here, right? And how would you use then platforms like DV360 to unify the media buy and, most importantly, hit the right frequency in this?
Yeah, I'll double down and say silos are where budgets go to die. So, I think DV360 really acts as that true one-stop shop for YouTube and premium CTV. When you buy YouTube in one silo and third-party CTV in another, you're effectively flying blind. You're hitting the same household with redundant ads, and that just annoys the consumer and frankly wastes money. So DV360 is the only place where advertisers can set a global frequency cap across both CTV and YouTube. We're seeing that this is saving advertisers up to 20% of media spend by being able to eliminate those wasted impressions. And I know we're in the presence of a Googler, but I'm going to say, to be somewhat unbiased, that I think unification isn't always necessarily, I'm not saying it's about being pro Google. I think it's about being pro clarity. I think it's about taking sort of the mess of the 2016 streaming landscape and turning it into a streamlined high performance engine.
So Julia, that 20% saving, that sounds significant. But when you're streaming the buy, as we call it, how do you ensure the premium value of a CTV environment, it isn't diluted by this approach?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say it honestly enhances it, right? So by frequency capping across channels, you're protecting the consumer experience from ad fatigue. So we take those, let's say 15 to 20% savings, and we reinvest them into driving that unique incremental reach. Plus, because DV360 integrates natively with GA4, the data flow is remarkably clean. So we aren't just seeing that a premium CTV ad was served, we can actually prove its holistic brand value by tracking how that big screen impression directly influenced a consumer journey and that final conversion. So Matz, with the tools like VO generating constant so quickly, what brand safety guardrails has Google built to prevent problematic creative, particularly for sensitive categories?
Yeah, and to be honest, that's a big topic, and it's a topic that's evolving very quickly in our space. From our point of view, responsible AI is core to our strategy. We have built in safety filters, including very strict API checks where necessary to control the output from some of these systems in play. While AI provides the volume, we still lean on human expertise where possible. So think about verification of your ads. It's humanly managed as possible. Along with that, there's also an emphasis back on the advertiser and the brands to adhere to standards we know and have proven that work. For example, ABCD frameworks, they remain essential, and they're in a way a safety check for effective performance.
I mean, it's a very large question to ask, but I mean, Julia, speaking of the sensitive categories, I know we have 2 iGaming clients, for example, Svenska Spel from the Nordics. So how did this strategy of high quality volume and the ABCD alignment actually play out for them in their results?
Yeah, I mean, it was super great. They achieved 95.5% completion rate to be exact, and a 2.4 average absolute lift. This proves that sort of the strategic, high quality creative, even when scaled, delivers qualified brand lift and deep audience engagement.
And that's quite compelling data, wouldn't you say? Because, I mean, we have another case, I know, but with this case, can you give me the example on a key metric like view-through rate, or what we call VTR for acronyms, achieved with a similar performance gain?
Absolutely. With FanDuel Casinos, which is one of our US clients, we focused on view-through rate, so VTR, which is a key proxy for creative quality. By optimizing our creative volume to maximize that VTR, we drastically improved their overall online video performance. This translated to 20% absolute lift in completion rates and a jump from 54% to 77% in play time visible. This is the time the ad is actually visible on the human screen. These are clear indicators that we're capturing genuine human attention.
It's clear that GenAI is a solution to the volume crisis, but as we've seen through the Svenska Spel and the FanDuel case studies, that DV360 unification strategy, human expertise, frameworks, and strategic media buying are what truly turn volume into performance. So thank you so much to our 2 expert guests, Matz and Julia, for sharing their insights into Nano Banana, VO, the frameworks, and AI-powered creatives into a unified performance. So we have discussed creative is the #1 driver for ad effectiveness, but getting the creative foundation right is key. So that's all for this episode. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.